Welcome, everybody. My name is Mike B. I am joined today by Heather. Hey, it's funny to give you a big opening like that. I don't have like the sounds for the fanfare and the music and all that stuff. I'll probably edit that in later, but yay. It's good to have you here.
Thank you.
Yeah, I am. I'm very excited to have you on the show. You and I, we have great conversations just in general, usually about boring parent stuff that no one wants to talk about. But usually we have pretty good conversations. So why not sit down in a format like this that's totally stress free and there's no pressure whatsoever and just talk about things.
Yes.
So you're here, you're doing kind of a mini tour through the Bay Area right now. Is that about right?
Yes. Just for a week.
Just for a week. How many shoots do you have lined up this week?
Overall, I think there are 7.
7. Mm-hmm. Okay. So a fair amount in like 5 days that you're going to be here.
Right.
Is there, well, 7 shoots is actually a pretty good amount. Jeez. You are shooting with, yesterday you shot with G State Warrior, you said. You have, what was more, I think, at the end of the week?
Yes. So today is with you, and tomorrow is with Bradley Whitkey.
Mm-hmm.
I've shot with him before. We were published in a few magazines. And on Thursday, 2 photographers, a new one that I've never shot with before. His Instagram is Hi Nico or Hey Nico.
Uh-huh.
And then Martin from Martian Pictures. I've shot with him before.
Okay.
He's in the evening. Friday is the Real Art David or Real David Art.
Uh-huh.
I've never shot with him before either. That's supposed to be in the city. Saturday, Michael Moore, and Sunday, Joshua Lacuna.
Wow. What is the like? What are the styles like range from? Are you doing fine art and then also doing more like casual stuff? Like,
I would say it depends on the photographer. They all have like different styles, but some like yesterday's was erotic. Today's is going to be more sensual. Tomorrow is probably more like fun, flirty, fashion-y. There's a Baywatch theme on Thursday.
Oh man.
At the beach, if weather permits.
Sure.
So.
Yeah. Some slow motion running down the beach is going to be happening. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. Of course. Baywatch, of course. You have to have that. It's a staple.
And Saturday and Sunday will be more artistic.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, a little bit of everything.
Yes.
Do you have a preferred style that you like to shoot in?
That's a good question.
Besides whatever I shoot, of course.
I probably lean more towards the artistic styles.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that's what I like. So,
like, do you have a favorite photographer that you work with? Like a particular photographer's like style or something that you work with?
Yes. Tim Engel is a really great artistic style photographer. And every time we work together, we make like epic art. Uh-huh. So he can take like a nude and just make it totally artistic where you forget that I'm even nude, and it just looks like an awesome piece of art. So yeah. He's definitely someone I love working with.
How often do you shoot like in any given month?
It depends on the month. I was kind of taking a break to help with our business that we have going on.
Yeah. But
before that, I was probably booking like a couple shoots a week. Mm. So maybe like, I'd say like 4 to 8 a month.
Uh-huh. And you're referring obviously to the husband-wife duo that you have going on with your husband, who recently became a shooter, probably like 3 years ago, I think, right? And he started really getting into it.
Yeah, probably only 2 years ago, actually, 2016. Prior to that, he was just doing it as a hobby. And when I started getting into this industry, like he wanted to practice on me. So he could kind of be part of, what I was doing.
Sure. You make a great muse.
Well, it would help me as well with my modeling, having that experience with him. I think it made me better, when I actually went on my professional shoots. But it wasn't until last year that he gave it a professional go, and we started a business.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And how do you like running a like a husband-wife duo like this? Because it's not just my husband takes pictures of me and then we post it online. Like you guys are taking pictures of. I mean, you have quite a few models that you've worked with already with him. Do you assist on like actually on location, like on the site during the actual shoot itself?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the goal is to eventually be able to shoot alongside him. Right now, he's the only real photographer on the set. But my emphasis is on marketing and directing. So, I do styling too. So I set up I usually come up with the concepts. I set up the scene. I get all the props and wardrobe. And then when the models get there, I show them the inspo pics. We go over everything. I'm constantly directing them throughout the shoot. And when they are performing and doing well, and they don't need me, then I'm running all the marketing and doing like the BTS and the live videos and all of that.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, that's still a lot of stuff to run in the background.
yes.
Right. You gave me a list of things. We talked about doing the interview, and you were like, "Well, here's some of the things that maybe we could talk about." And so I went through that list. And there's some pretty interesting stuff on there. Stuff that I don't think I've ever seen any other model have in their repertoire. Like, for example, you were in a rap video starring yourself. Like, you technically have your own rap music video. How did that, like, well, first off, what was it about?
I used to be an academic advisor for La Sierra University, and I worked with undergraduate students, first-year students, transfer students, and I started a program called the For You program, where you have resources like workshops and just other helpful, strategies for students to succeed. And we made a video to kind of promote that service on campus. So that was where the rap video came in.
How funny. I got to say, it's like seeing Natalie Portman rap. It's just kind of like, okay, I forgot that she could do that. And so, I mean, you mentioned this particular program, like this was here in the Bay Area, right?
No, it was down in SoCal, where I'm from.
I was gonna say, are you originally from Southern California? What part?
Yes, Riverside.
Riverside.
Yes, born and raised, and that's also the university I went to and worked at is in Riverside as well.
Yeah. What did you? Okay, so you went to university and then you got out. What did you major in?
Undergraduate, I majored in English writing. The goal was to be a journalist, and I minored in art with an emphasis in photography. Of course. So that I could, write my own stories and also take my own photographs. So it was based around working in the news industry. That didn't work out, but I continued on and got an MBA in marketing.
Okay.
So.
Oh, nice. So you started modeling then probably in college, right? I mean, so you posted some pictures to your Patreon that I'll just put right here. So you started modeling pretty early, right?
Yeah, I mean, that picture is definitely from when I was just dating someone who was straight out of art school, and he wanted to use me as his muse, and so I kind of just went with it. But yes, in college, in graduate school, I started contract modeling, and I had my first professional gig, and that was for Fresh Peaches swimwear.
Oh, yes.
Yes. So that was my very first.
Yeah. How did you transition from doing contract modeling? Like that was like a swimsuit fashion shoot that you did to doing nude photography?
It wasn't until years later, after I was married and in the Bay Area, where I started dabbling in different art mediums, acting and modeling and a bunch of stuff.
Is this like years later, as in just a couple years ago? Like just a few years ago?
Yes,
really?
It's probably started in like 2016.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It first started with acting. I got a job working at the San Francisco Dungeon in the city.
Right. Yes.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Then I did some film acting through SF Casting, and then I started dabbling into the modeling. And I didn't start doing nudes until I had a sit down with my husband and got his, whole feel of where he stood with that. Once I had his support, then I also had to sit down with my son.
Right.
And I asked him how he felt about that as well. And when I had his support, then I decided to try nude photography.
How was, I mean, this is not the same kind of thing. Not your average model has this particular conversation with their family. It's like, not only that, I mean, I understand that, you talk with your husband, obviously it's your decision whether or not you want to do it, but you also want to keep the peace at home. Is your husband comfortable with you doing this kind of thing? You're right. Like, this is a discussion that has to happen.
Right.
But with your son, like, that's a whole nother, your son was 16 at the time or so, right? Give or take, probably 15.
Yeah, probably like 15, 16. Yeah.
And so you just, I mean, he's obviously old enough to know that, boys have a penis and girls have a vagina. So obviously he's not completely oblivious to all this is happening. And so when you sat down and talked to him, what was his response? Do you have questions or anything?
No, he said, every career comes with its, ups and downs. Whether you're an attorney or you're a model, he's like, there's positives and negatives. I mean, he saw it in a really mature way for his age. And I think that it also helped that he himself is pursuing a career in art, and he has exposure to that, and he has had exposure to that growing up. So he knew, it was just part of the industry, and he was supportive. And he also made it a point to tell me, like, if he got any negative feedback from people,
right,
that it wasn't a reflection on me, but it was more a reflection on them.
Right.
So,
wow, what a mature young lad.
Yes.
I'm sure he's messed up in other areas, but
I didn't say that.
No. So he's that is a very mature way of handling it, especially at the age of 15. I mean, we used to make jokes with friends. It's kind of like, oh, your mom sent me nudes or whatever, like when I was a kid, and so that was kind of like it was like the butt of a joke, So, but I mean, now, especially, your son has pretty much grown up in the Bay Area for the most part. Or how long have you been in Northern California?
We moved here when he was in 7th grade, so 12 or 13.
Okay, so influential years then he's probably spent out here, surrounded by more artistic types and everything. I mean, you guys came from Southern California. It wasn't like there wasn't, a bunch of two-piecers running around on the beach. So yeah, that's great. Great that he's like so mature about that. Has his friends ever like approached him about any of this stuff? Have they ever seen any of it?
I don't think so. I asked him that question. I'm like, have your friends ever, talked to you about this, or
hey, bro, I saw your mom's nudes or whatever. Like,
he said no, that his friends respect him enough to, not, go there because, of their love in relationship with him. So it's just not something that's discussed. But he has told me that parents of his friends have asked him questions. So,
oh my God.
Yeah. And that, I don't know how I feel about that, but
so my friend's dad wants to know. That's again a very unique situation.
Yes.
In the industry right now, there's a number of different ways that we can make money, right? There's sites like Patreon. There's sites like OnlyFans and ManyVids, and it ranges in the kind of content that goes across all of those different platforms, ranging from probably a little more artistic nude to stuff that's maybe a little bit more just like pure sexual, right? And so these platforms are available for us to basically monetize, but the one actual advertising platform that we really have access to is constantly trying to like cut us off, right? Obviously talking about Instagram.
Right.
You've been hit with like takedowns before on Instagram, right?
Yes.
How often would you say it happens?
It's only happened twice to me in the whole 2.5 years. So not very often.
And you have a pretty significant following, 100 and something thousand
I think it's 170 right now.
170. You could toot your own horn on that. I think it's 170. You should check your facts before we get started with this. How does it feel? I mean, you hit 100K like right before the end of the year last year.
Right.
I remember it was like your goal. Like you want to hit 100K.
Yeah.
I told you, I said you could do 200K because it was obvious you were going to do 200K. But I just wanted to say I called it. And so now you're at 170K. It's not even June.
I know. It's crazy. It's like I'm picking up momentum. It's nice, but it's also kind of stressful, to keep it up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because it's like you could either stop or keep going. And then if you keep going, you got to work for it,
Yeah.
So.
Do you, it's a daily thing do you update daily or like 5 days a week or so?
Yeah. So it depends on how quickly you want to grow. If you want to grow rapidly, which, like I said, I've only been doing this for 2.5 years, you have to be consistent and, posting every day at the same time and having new and relevant content. It also, presentation is also a key element. So that's why I do the song lyrics, because one, it keeps my opinion out of it.
Right.
So I don't get any criticism, and it's, more open for interpretation to the public. But also it helps tell the story. And if you post a really good song to a really good photo, I mean, that can have like a tremendous impact.
Uh-huh.
So it's nice.
How funny. It's funny because I know a lot of times when you post lyrics, I'm like, I used to listen to that song. I know that song. It's funny. Yeah, we have like the same musical taste. I think, yeah, like your favorite band is Incubus, isn't it?
Yes, one of them.
One of them. I think it's the one.
It's probably the one. But yes.
I think it inches out the others just by a little bit. No. What are your other favorite bands? I'm curious.
Coldplay.
Okay.
Yeah. And Garbage.
Garbage.
Yes.
That's a good one. I saw them live about 10 years ago or so, and man, she's so good.
Wow, lucky.
Like it's actually kind of funny. Towards the end, it was the last show on the tour, and we get to the end of the set, and they're just like playing random songs. Like, yo, the song, we'll play it. And she's like, okay, yeah, we'll play a song. And so they play random songs, and they're like one song she didn't know the lyrics to, because it had been so long, they basically never performed it. And so she actually had a guy come out on stage and hold the lyric book, and they did the song.
Wow.
It was like they did the song. The guys in the back, they were kind of feeling it out a little bit initially, kind of doing. The guy's like, oh yeah, I remember that. Okay, cool. And they play the song, and she's like reading the lyrics from the lyric book. It was like, you know what? At least whatever it takes to put on a show.
Yeah, it's like improv for music.
Yeah, exactly. For songs that they wrote. You actually don't charge most photographers or some photographers. Like how does that work with your, like, how do you conduct business as a model?
When opportunities started arising to monetize on your work, like the sites like Patreon and Buttercup and OnlyFans, and there's so many, I just didn't find it ethical to charge for the hourly services if I was going to be given permission by the photographers to take the content and distribute it on my platforms and then make a profit off of it. Since the photographers are artists as well, and then what I do is, art, and then also being a photographer myself, I just didn't feel right at the end of the day, charging a rate when it's a collaboration, like we're both working together to create art, and we have the same goal. So yeah, no, I gave up the hourly rate, and I solely make my money off of my fans and them wanting to see the work. So you may not be the only one that has this particular mindset, but you're the only model I've ever met that said that. Like some other ones they might look at as like, oh, I just do trade as long as I can just post the pictures. Like maybe that's how they look at it, but the way you approach it, I've never heard anybody else say, that, the photographer is an artist too, footing the bill for a number of things just to make a shoot happen. Right.
And so, why double dip on that kind of stuff? A lot of models I work with, and I don't hold it against them, because it's kind of just the way things are right now. It's like,
right.
I'll do a shoot, and, I might pay for location or pay for a prop or pay for whatever. And then they'll post it to their Patreon. And so I don't have an issue with it yet. But man, I do kind of wish that most models had your your mindset there. And I'm sure there's probably photographers watching, this that are like, oh my gosh, that'd be amazing, because then they could suddenly afford to shoot so many different, maybe, get better gear or get better location or set or hire an MUA or something, right? To make their photos better.
Well, it also gives me more power because, and I have to just note this, that I could be more selective on who I want to work with. I could also, have more of a say on, how the shoot goes, the time, the duration, like, I don't have to commit to a certain amount of hours, because that's what I'm getting paid for. And then also on the concepts, I can have a say on, what it is that I want to shoot, like the content. So it's seen more as a partnership versus, I'm paying you for your time and you have to do what I say and what I want.
Yeah.
So it gives me that liberty, and I like that, being somewhat of a control freak. So.
You exchange just a little bit of monetary gain for a little bit of flex in the studio. That's a pretty, what? I mean, yeah, okay, that's pretty good, because there's a lot of models who, again, they'll do shoots, and then like I know MK will flat out tell. She told me, she's like, I edit all photos. Like if I get a photo in, I edit it. It's like every single photo she gets, she edits, because she's really good in Photoshop and Lightroom. So I don't necessarily blame her, but if there are photographers who would take offense to that. Like if I give somebody a picture, they make it black and white, I would not be happy. Like it's not happened yet, right? But I would not be happy. Yeah, please don't turn my. I work so hard on the color. But yeah, I mean, like if it was a trade shoot, I would have less of a say in that regard, and the model would have more flexibility, because then the pictures no longer become just mine; they become both of ours to be able to do with what we please. Again, a very interesting, business approach in the modeling industry. Like nobody does that. More people should do that, please. You have you've traveled. You started doing some traveling recently to do shoots, right?
Yes.
And where have you gone so far?
We've shot in
Hawaii.
Yeah, we went to Hawaii a couple of times. We've been to New York. I go down to LA, San Diego, Palm Springs. I've been, all over California, Arizona, because my mother lives there. So, but yeah, I want to travel and do more shooting. We're going to Japan in June, and we're gonna do some shoots. We have a model booked, so we're gonna shoot her, and then I have 2 photographers booked.
Yeah.
And then we're also going to Florida. We're going to stay in Orlando and Miami, and we're looking to collaborate with models and photographers down there too.
Oh, Jennifer Morris lives in Orlando,
Nice.
and so yeah, she might be able to get a bunch of photographers out there.
Okay, cool.
Okay, let me talk. Okay, so Japan. Book as many Japanese photographers as you can, because
Really?
their style is like blowing up.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's so many models that are going over there and living there just for a modeling career and posting and just basically making money like on Patreon and whatever other services. So yeah, please, I'm as I'm a fan as much as I'm a friend. I'm a fan, so I would love to see you put in these different types of scenarios with different new photographers. It's funny, actually, we started doing video here and there. And you haven't really done much video before, really with anybody.
I don't think I did any video before you, actually.
Right.
Yeah, you were the first. I think I freaked out too, like our very first time. But yeah, now I'm used to it. I know what to expect on every Mike Bailey shoot. So not that it's a bad thing.
Yeah, of course. It's good. You want to know what to expect.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And now we're in our business. We're actually, Brian and I are incorporating video into, our photography too. So you're an inspiration for that.
I'll be more than happy to help in any way possible. No, I mean, like the videos that we shot so far have been great. They're simple. It's just basically just basic flow pose, and I'll just float the camera around or whatever, and then we make it slow motion because slow motion looks awesome, and then it suddenly looks fine. I mean, even if you're nervous or whatever, like nobody really looks nervous at 120 frames per second when you slow it down. Everyone's moving super slow motion. It's kind of like walking away from explosions in slow motion. It's like it always looks cool.
That's
right?
smart. Yeah, I didn't even think about it that way. I was wondering why I didn't look so tense and scared.
So okay, so you've done a number of shoots. I know you've told me some stories about some unsavory photographers in the past. And I'm not asking for you to like divulge any personal information or anything like that about like any particular names or anything, because I know you wouldn't do it anyways.
Okay.
But I am curious. I mean, you told me about, I think the worst I've heard from you is just photographers that are a little bit too grabby. I guess because they just feel like they need to position things like boobs. This breast is just a little out of place. Let me just go ahead and just move this over here. Like, I mean, right? Like that's what you've told me has happened. Is that's still pretty much the worst scenario that's happened?
Yes. Like in the very beginning, I was approached by a photographer, and his whole spiel was like, hey, I'm a scout photographer for a modeling agency and I can get you signed. And that was his approach to me. And that was appealing, especially when I was starting out. I'm like, hey, let's see what happens, with this opportunity. But you're quickly lured in to a really scary environment. And then you have like hands all over you and, grabbing body parts and, pulling you in, and it becomes uncomfortable. And when you speak up, there's like language that, oh, this is normal,
Right.
If you're in this industry, especially like working in fashion, you're going to have so many people's hands all over you, at one time. And, if you really want to make it as a model, like you have to, be comfortable with that. And
you have to let all these dudes grab your titties. I mean, that's part of being a model. Yeah, sure.
So, obviously I didn't work with that person again,
right.
But yeah.
Do you have like a photographer pet peeve? You've worked with so many.
Oh man. Well, okay, first of all, yes, I do. Thank you for asking. Oh my God. Let me just get it out there. Get it off my chest. Okay. One, I will not work with you again if you don't post the stuff from our collaboration together. So if any photographer that I work with, after, the art has been completed with editing and everything, and, sent to the model for presentation, if I'm the only one who is promoting the work, then there's a problem there.
Right.
Because then it goes to show me that they may not be proud of the work that we did. Maybe they're like ashamed of it, or they don't think as highly of it as I do. And also, part of collaboration is that cross promotion. So, if I'm going to be promoting you, it's only respectful if you reciprocate, you know? So there have been a handful of photographers who won't post for whatever reason the work that we created together. And at that point, I'm just not inclined to like work with them anymore.
Wow.
That's a pet peeve. Another pet peeve, and this is just flat out wrong, but I've had a few photographers that wouldn't give me the content afterwards. So
at all, even after requesting it.
Yeah. And even after we both signed releases and had an agreement about it, the cross promotion and the collaboration and using the work for our platforms, they just neglected to give me the work that, and that's the downside about not paying for the time.
Sure.
So you're taking that risk. And if that's your only like source of income or reward, and a photographer doesn't give that to you, then you basically wasted your time.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's happened to me a couple times, unfortunately.
And I mean, I understand. I mean, as a photographer, I understand that, sometimes you could get delayed, like heavily delayed on things. But I mean, I'm willing to bet you probably have photos from 2 years ago or so that you probably just never received, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but those are few and far between.
Good.
And I mean, you could choose to go the legal route if you wanted to, but most people don't because it's not worth their time. Yeah. But you just know not to work with them. And if you're asked an opinion on that particular photographer, artist, you can just give an honest opinion to somebody about them.
Just let them know.
Yes.
Let them know. You may not get your pictures back.
Yes.
So maybe get paid or something, at least something in exchange. Yeah.
Exactly.
Especially in your situation where you do a lot of trade shoots at a high level. Like you're not trade shoot getting started. You're doing trade shoots at a high level.
Right.
Like you obviously expect to have, some kind of reciprocation. Like you need to have that kind of content given back to you. Jeez. Oh man. How funny. It's like, just so you know, like I gave her basically no questions ahead of time. It was just like, oh yeah, where are you from? What's your ethnicity? We need to talk about ethnicity because that's just no fun. Well, what are you? What is your
Mexican American?
Mexican American. There you go. So in case you're wondering, see, as a generic question, no one cares about that stuff. But I'm glad that you're on board with. You have all these great stories. I know you've done so many shoots in the past. You've been published. Do you even know how many times you've been published?
Jeez, I think last year it was like. Oh man, I think it was 10 prints and 6 online. So I know I've had more since then. So, and that was just last year. The year before, there was probably another dozen or so.
Right. Yeah, you were actually running out of magazines to be published in.
Exactly.
Because we had talked about, we did a bunch of shoots at the Sacramento house, and we had shoveled them off to a couple places. But the thing is, our choices were so limited because you've already been published everywhere. And it's funny because I'll get published in a magazine and I'm like, yeah, I got published. And I'll open it up. It's like, this fucking Heather was working with somebody else. Just part of the normal rotation. It's like, yeah, squeeze a Heather shoot in there.
Yeah, I really like getting published. I want to be able to show that to my grandchildren one day and say, look, your grandma was hot. Look at what she did. Hey.
How long do you plan on modeling?
Oh man. So I go back and forth. Like when we started the business, I'm like, okay, I'm retired. I hit 100K.
That's right. You did threaten to retire. Yeah, that's right.
I'm like, I'm going to put everything into the business. And then, life happens and, I'm like, okay, well, I think I'm going to pick it back up and get creative and get some more content going and, just things change and, so I don't know, but, I don't know, maybe in the year or so.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Maybe in a year or so?
Yeah.
Okay. You said that last year.
Yeah, I know.
I mean it this year. Well, you meant it last year. No. I think it's great. Obviously, I think it's great that you're still modeling. I do enjoy working with you. It's funny because I enjoy, I think the content we come up with is great, but I actually enjoy the camaraderie that we have together, just being able to talk and hang out, maybe sip some wine or whatever before we do anything.
Just so you guys know, Mike is my go-to person if I have any questions regarding tech or Instagram or like what's going on with this blackout. I don't know. And anything. He's just my go-to person. And also to vent about things. And I'm sure he gets tired of hearing about all my drama and my problems. But he's a great friend.
I do get, it's funny because I'll do it. So you have 17 messages or video messages from Heather Monique. And it's like everyone starts to say, but it has like a filter on. You're like, listen, I have the filter on because I look like butt right now. But I have a problem.
I just woke up.
We need to talk. And it's like, you'll like lay it on me. And it's funny because, there's only 15 seconds per Instagram video. And there's like 20 messages. It's like, oh shit. Okay. I got to go somewhere and watch these now.
Yeah. Someone was serviced or else you're not going to be able to go back to them. So
yeah, exactly. How funny. Yeah. Good. At least I know I'm the go-to guy for that kind of stuff.
You should feel honored.
I am honored. You've done so many shoots, so many different styles, so many different looks, and just, everything from probably, guy with camera to like, published photographer doing whatever, editorial. What is your like dream shoot? Like, do you have an idea? Because you're a photographer yourself. Your husband's a photographer. You're around it so much. Like, you have to have something in your head that you're just like, I want to do blank.
Yeah, I don't know if there's like a particular concept, but I do love Sarah Underwood and like what she's doing. And she's pretty much my role model for this industry. And my husband and I have both talked about it, and we would love to just do the travel and shooting and maybe not so much nature-esque places like she does, but maybe more urban places like Japan and Tokyo, get some like streets and cities and also like incorporate like my dance background in that somehow. But yeah, just going all over the world and shooting and just having our own spin on things.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds, you know what, actually, it's because, you know, we talked about this before, and I knew you were going to say Sarah Underwood, but I do like your concept of just kind of giving it like an urban flair, because you're right, because all of her photos are all outdoor, and they're beautiful photos, and the truck with the weird camper on the back that they built, you know, it's like, it's great that they're doing all this stuff, but yeah, having your own twist on things really is pretty important, and I think that's a great concept. Just travel around, like maybe like different seedy motels or something like that, just have like a whole series of just, here's a bunch of like jank ass hotels and like all these places.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great concept.
It'd be cool.
It would,
think.
yeah. And then you can also pick up a bunch of photographers on the way.
Yeah.
And work with a bunch of people as you travel around.
And models.
And your kid is now on his own now, kind of, or he can be. He's old enough to be.
About to, yes.
Yeah, there you go. Just kick him out. 18 years old, get him out of here. I mean, you could totally do it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing holding me back. So.
Son, you're an adult now. Well, you're going to kick me out? Nope, I'm leaving.
No, I'm going to do me now.
But work on myself now. Great. Well, Heather, I'm so glad that you got to sit down. I told you this is going to be easy. This is the easy stuff here. I'm so glad that we got to sit down together and have this discussion. Why don't you go ahead and tell us, like, where can they find you? I mean, obviously, most people watching probably already know who you are, but for those who are not, where can they find you?
So Instagram at Heather Moni, on Patreon, which is our Quinn Collaborations business. It would be just Patreon Quinn Collaborations. On Buttercup, I'm Heather Moni.
And it's Moni.
Moni, yes. And yeah, Twitter, Heather_Moni. I couldn't get it all the same. There's a lot of like Heather Monies, Heather Monies, Heather, you know.
Yeah, Heather Money. Yes, yeah, I'm sure you can see it'd be pretty difficult, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Great. Well, thank you again for joining us. You can follow me at akamikebphoto on everything. I got lucky in that regard because AK Mike B, that doesn't make any sense to anybody else. You can follow me, AK Mike B Photo, on all the things. And you can also follow me right here on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you guys' support, and we'll see you guys later. This is basically where you and I are going to chat, so that way you don't feel like you're just in a room by yourself. It's going to be easy. Say something again.
Mike Bailey is my friend.
Oh.